Hi, this is Bill Johnson, and I'm here to record my ePortfolio Comp Practicum highlight video. So I'll just start with here. This is my ePortfolio that Dr. Moody set up for me. I have some information about each one of the things, but before we get started, I just want to say that I appreciate Dr. Moody working with us through this whole program. And this e-portfolio was quite challenging for me in the fact that I've been started taking classes way back in 2018 and had to kind of put some stuff on hold because had an emergency foster care kid was placed in my care. Actually, one of my former students and wrestlers placed in my care, and then the COVID hit. So it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited to finally be recording this video. So first of all, let's just get started, and I'll show you some information here. First of all, in the ePortfolio is the artifact finder, all of the different things that I use, and the artifacts are in this folder for easy use, as well as you can see my slideshows for each area. The next thing is a goal video. And when I recorded this this video, um, my goal was in the next 1 to 5 years, I wanted to complete my master's degree and be employed as a principal. That's my goal. I'm kind of a non-traditional student because I've turned 55 years old now, so I started this degree much later in life than a lot of the students that I've been with. So you can read through there. My goal is to get employed as a principal pretty soon. The next thing was my leadership philosophy. While completing this was and I chose to use this one about the transformational leadership style. There's another leadership philosophy artifact that I will share with you later on, but this one I choose to put on here because tells them, I think, a little bit more about myself and how I wanted to lead to inspire others. And it is my desire to lead by inspiring and exciting others through honesty, trust, and compassion. The next thing is plan a study, which, as I mentioned before, this has been in this degree program for 3+ years. You can see all of my classes I took right in there. And then we have my resume has been updated for people to see right there. The activity form is how I filled all this stuff out. This hasn't even been reviewed yet by Dr. Moody to color code everything, but I think that should show up later on. My activity tracker, which I use to track all of my activities, which was very helpful in completing this ePortfolio, to go through there and to organize all of the artifacts. Administrative verification, I haven't added that in there yet. This annotated bibliography, this was something that took an enormous amount of time for me to do. I am one that I like to kind of read and understand things a lot, and I seem like I couldn't keep it at 150 words, but when I started into this, as you can see, it's like 36 pages. But I really fretted and worried about this project. But after I got into it, I was I enjoyed reading about the articles and learning a little bit more on each of the 11 areas. So that part of it was kind of neat for me. This is the highlight. So now I'll just start with the um, building level activities that were completed. So the first one is I'll start with the district activities. In the district activities, first of all, I chose to, on the standard one, the mission, vision, and improvement, to share a little bit about what we've done in our school with our KISA and I made a video on that. So that was kind of fun to do.
Hi, my name's Bill Johnson.
There's also, whoops, I shouldn't have clicked on that. But the next thing was a local curriculum inquiry report. This was a lengthy project that I did to try and understand our curriculum and how it fits into all of the state and federal standards. And so I found that kind of challenging for me. The next one was my continuous school improvement video, My Story. This was I was able to dive into the Kansas State Department of Education data system and was able to use their data to build profiles of my school, which my school is not very diverse being out here in Western Kansas, but I would imagine this would be a very helpful assignment to me and a very useful project if I was going to move to a much larger community where there would be more diversity in my school. So that was good for the district to do that. Another thing was this Norton demographic poster that kind of goes along with understanding what the makeup of our school is. And I compared that with other schools our size around us. And then the best project that I feel that I did for the district and almost for the entire program is I created a what I call a fairly high quality highlight tape or a recruitment video about Norton. And I believe right now we're going through some things in our school that I believe that this video would help with, because we lost quite a few students because they didn't want to wear masks. And our school board was very adamant that we're going to wear masks in our building. So this would be something that to maybe recreate to maybe bring some students back into our district. The next artifact was about the elementary school, and I chose to do the 7 artifacts and activities with elementary, mainly because I am currently teaching at the high school level. I would entertain probably a job at either the grade school or the high school level, but I just chose to do more at the high school level. The first one was the collaborative learning cycle, which this was a very interesting assignment for me because we got to design our own cycle and see how that fits into the entire learning process. The next one was I used especially at the elementary school, think before you post poster. And this is a very good project because kids are becoming more and more involved with digital media all the time. You almost can't see a kid at the grade school that doesn't have their own cell phone. And 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, that was not the case at all. So we need to teach them how to be good digital, practice good digital citizenship. And this was a great assignment for me. The next thing was to have an inclusive school culture. There is so many things in our society that are changing, and it's not just with the LGBT community, but is with all of the maybe special education students or students with disabilities or their minorities that are coming in to our schools. Um, as a school administrator, you got to be very accepting of all of those students. So this was a good project to teach us how to accept everybody. Uh, the next one was we did something on the assessment scores, the operations and management, this standard 6. So we were able to look at these and know that all the scores must be very confidential among all of the teachers and the administrators. The next thing I talked about was the 5 stages of teacher evaluation. This is an awesome chart that I was able to work through, and I believe it's something that I could take and use in my job as a future administrator to help teachers in the evaluation process. The next thing is another along the lines of evaluation and supervision. This is a best practices, talking about clinical supervision. What we're wanting to do as administrators is work with the teachers instead of being the ones that say, I got you in a evaluation. I want to be that administrator that wants to help teachers improve and build trust among us so that they can share their strengths and their weaknesses with me. And the final one was the overview of the teacher evaluation, especially all of the rules and the legalities that we have when we're evaluating teachers. And this is one part of that I have never done before. So it'd be interesting to me to find out how it's done. The next thing is on secondary. So now we're ready for secondary. I'm trying to keep this as brief as possible and stay under the 15 minutes. So, the ethics and professional norms, I talked about my leadership philosophy, mainly because in my leadership philosophy is standard two, school leader will engage in reflective practice as a professional norm. In my uh, philosophy, I gauge in some reflection there. Here's another one. This is what I believe in. I put this down as ethical practices because in this philosophy, I share with people what I believe in and what I think is right and what I think is wrong. And that is very important for the ethics of our job as an administrator. Also, the next thing was confronting institutional biases. I highlight this because this chart that I made was very important to work through the groups in our communities and in our nation that have been uh, trying to overcome biases that exist in the educational system throughout time. Other next thing is culture diversity. And there was an assignment here we did on the cultural diversity, and then projects that I've done and some other things with the Norton. I made a public service announcement for what it's like for parents to go through the special education system. Next thing I mentioned was in standard 4, learning and instruction barriers to the web video. Little did we know that this barriers to the web were going to be a real life situation when when the COVID situation hit. This is kind of interesting to me to look at some of these classes I took prior to the COVID and after the COVID, and the projects that I did in the classrooms, and to try and to reach all students during our remote learning. So that was a very interesting assignment in projects for me to do. The next one was on data protocol. Data protocol, this is showing us how we're going to look at data and how we are going to evaluate that data so that we can have continuous school improvement. It's important that all stakeholders understand this. There was a graphic organizer, a data protocol graphic organizer that I made that I believe I can use in my future role. And the next one was on technology and the 7 habits of highly effective tech leaders. And some of these included, for example, like being connected, fostering collaboration, inspiring others, taking risks, and not being afraid to do new things is very important. This school hierarchy model, I made a video on this, and this really hit home with me because I believe that many times, especially in my school at the time that I was going through this, we were needing a reevaluation of whose whose responsibility everything is. And obviously, as a principal of the building, you're in charge of setting the tone. And even though you have different levels of people that work with our children, every single person is important to the education of a student. And I, as a future building leader, I'm going to try to make it my goal that every single person, from the janitor to the principal to the students. Everyone understands their role and what their role is in providing a quality education to the students, keeping the students at the center of everything. I put in and I tried to create a vast variety of different mediums in my artifacts here, because to show that all the different ways that the learning can happen and the knowledge was gained. Here's one on gender neutral bathrooms. And that's going to be something that we're going to be following here in the future with the ever changing courtroom battle on that. And I believe the final thing that I worked with was collaborative teaching, and how important creating collaborative teaching units and allowing time for my staff to collaborate in between class periods, and giving them a dedicated time to do that, not just like before school or after school, but giving them some time to collaborate with one another. So this is my e-portfolio, my practicum, keep completing my practicum. There's just a few highlights of it. There was some many great information. I included much more in my artifact folder that you're welcome to look at. Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure.